1. We will be making a decision on whom we will be voting for that has the best interest in our community. Let me pass it on to my co-moderator in Houston, son of Oakland, who will speak a little bit about Alameda County District 1.
Thank you, Maria. How was your day?
Wonderful.
All right. Mr. Alexander in the back, how was your day? Okay, all right. My name is Ken Houston, son of Oakland, your co-moderator this evening. So welcome to Alameda County District 1 live stream broadcast candidates forum. There are 5 districts in Alameda County with 5 supervisors. Our current Board of Supervisors, District 1, Scott Haggerty. District 2, Richard Vallier. District 3, Wilma Chan. District 4, Nate Miley. District 5, Keith Carson. So let me share with the public a few things. Alameda County is the home for over 1 million people living in 14 incorporated cities as well as 6 unincorporated cities, communities, and rural areas throughout the 813 square miles of the county. Let me tell you some of the cities. The incorporated cities are Alameda, Albany, Berkeley, Dublin, which is District 1, Emeryville, Fremont, another District 1, Hayward, Livermore, District 1, Newark, Oakland, Piedmont, Pleasanton, San Leandro, and Union City. The unincorporated communities are Ashland, Castro Valley, Cherryland, Fairview, San Lorenzo, and Solano. Tonight, we are hosting the Alameda County Supervisor District 1 live stream broadcast. This is live candidates forum, and we have this evening David Haubert, the current mayor of Dublin, and we have Vinnie Bacon, the current Fremont council member. Now let me pass this back to your moderator, Maria Ramirez. Maria?
Thank you, Ken Houston. The rules for tonight, I will share them with you. It's a 45-minute forum. You have 3 minutes to introduce yourself and your mission statement. Please share with us who you are. You have a 2-minute closing statement at the end of this forum. You have 1 minute to answer each question unless more time is needed, and we'll address it. Let's get the forum started. Please begin with your introduction and mission statement, starting Mr. David Haubert.
Well, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Devon, in the back there running things. I am so impressed by you guys and what you've been able to put together at TumbleTweet Media. I want to thank you for having this forum. I am David Haubert. I have served my community proudly for the last 20 years when I decided to move my family to Dublin, California, and I've raised my family there. Proud to have 3 daughters, 1 wife, and a long-standing community servant. Been in the community service there for 20 years. I started out as a school volunteer. Then I saw that the schools needed help, so I ran for the school board. And 10 years later, I decided to run for city council. And 2 years after that, our mayor termed out, and I've been the mayor ever since for the last 6 years. So for the past 18 years, I have served my community, always fought hard to represent the best interests of my constituents. I'm proud of my track record of success. Dublin is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. And now I am honored for the chance to serve Alameda County as Board of Supervisors District 1, representing the great communities of Fremont, Livermore, Dublin, and unincorporated Sunol community. Our county faces many challenges, especially as we struggle throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Even without the pandemic, we're faced with increasing traffic, homelessness, and financial pressures of the modern day. We also know that the supervisor position is very critical. We need someone who has the experience to find the right solutions for our district, someone who will fight hard to get our share of resources and needed to implement the solutions that we need to come up with to serve our community. We need somebody with a strong track record of business success, and I'm proud to say I have an MBA from the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, one of the top-rated MBA programs in the country. I've also got 18 years of experience, as I mentioned, and that means that I've been able to earn the respect and the trust of my colleagues. I've served alongside several of the supervisors already, and that's why Supervisor Scott Haggerty endorses me, Supervisor Nate Miley endorses me, and I'm proud to have their trust. I'm the only candidate that's broadly supported by community members and elected officials. Over half of the mayors in Alameda County have endorsed me, many community leaders as well, former electeds. I'm the only candidate that's supported broadly across the aisle, Democrats and Republicans both supporting me. And also I'm proud to say that I have the support of fire, police, and other first responders. They know that I'll put partisan politics aside, that I will govern and lead with the best interest of my community at hand. And I would be proud to have your support and your vote on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haubert. Mr. Vinnie Bacon, please.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Vinnie Bacon, and I've been a Fremont City Council member for the last 8 years. My political career began as an environmental activist, fighting to preserve open space in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've served on various leadership positions for the San Francisco Bay chapter of the Sierra Club for well over a decade. And that was before I served on the Fremont City Council. With this experience, it's not surprising that the Sierra Club has endorsed me in this race. I love hiking and doing bird photography at Coyote Hills Regional Park. When I first heard about a large housing development being proposed right next to the park, I worked with the Sierra Club to oppose it. Now, let me say, I have a master's degree in city planning and transportation engineering from UC Berkeley. So I have an educated opinion on what is good, responsible planning. And in my opinion, this was not a well-planned project. Yet our council unanimously approved it. I then found out that the owners of the land had given tens of thousands of dollars to the campaigns of the council members that approved it. I was infuriated with this blatant pay-to-play politics. I decided to run for council myself, and I refused to take any money from developers. I was happy to find out that this was a very popular position, and indeed, it got me elected. It was such a popular position that it started a trend in Fremont. Lily May was the second successful candidate to refuse developer money, and she became Fremont's mayor on a clean money platform in 2016. I'm proud to have her endorsement in this race. As of 2018, we now have a majority of our council members that have never taken developer money. I'm proud to say that I successfully led the movement to get developer money out of Fremont politics. I'm also not taking money from any political action committees or special interests. I'm proud to have the endorsement of Congressman Ro Khanna, who started the No PAC Money in caucus in the House of Representatives, trying to get special money out of the halls of Congress. I'm also proud to say that I've been a leader that has brought positive change to Fremont. I've made referrals to increase the minimum wage, to make Fremont a sanctuary city, and to support reform of Proposition 13. For this and other reasons, I've earned the endorsement of the Alameda Labor Council and SEIU 10-1, the largest employer group in Alameda County. I'm proud to have the endorsement of Livermore's independent newspaper and the Mercury News, which the latter said the following: Bacon has proven himself to be an independent thinker. No other candidate brings Bacon's thoughtful policy approaches combined with his political independence. I would be thrilled to serve on the Alameda County Board of Supervisors and bring my history of independence and making positive change to Alameda County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vinnie Bacon.
Thank you.
Now, moving forward, we will ask questions that we acquire from the public and the residents via email, text, social media, and some phone calls. Here's the first question. Because of COVID-19, Alameda County did not apply for a variance to reopen. What are your thoughts on that? But before you answer, let me read paragraph 4 of this article by the Berkeley site from July 11, 2020, which says, County can apply for a variance or permission to reopen sit-down dining, but Alameda County was one of the 2 California counties that did not file for a variance. What are your thoughts,
Oh,
Ms.?
Maria, can I interrupt you on that one? I want to add something to it because I didn't share with you. Alameda County, can I?
Oh, she,
Okay,
please.
okay. Alameda County COVID health emergency press release. They did, the county did for immediate release July the 15th, 2020. I'm going to read a couple of things here. It said, we are updating, this just came in today, our local orders and communication materials to reflect these changes and reduce confusion. So I'm going to read 4 bullet points. It said, the Oakland Zoo can reopen for outdoor activities with appropriate safety measures in place. Outdoor dining can resume. Please note that face covering are required at all times and may only be removed during physical act of eating or drinking. The next one is places of worship. This came in today, July the 17th, July 15th. Places of worship can hold outdoor services only and will not be able to hold indoor services. Last one, indoor malls will be required to close. This does not impact other indoor retail at this time. So I wanted to add that, Maria. Sorry, this just came in today. So what are your thoughts about the comment that Maria, the question that came in and what we just read? Who you want to start with, Maria?
Mr. Vinnie Bacon?
Thank you. Well, I think regarding COVID, the first thing and foremost is we must listen to the health professionals. We cannot let this issue be politicized. And I was disappointed to see my opponent and a couple of other mayors suggesting that they could reopen quicker than the health professionals suggested. We have to listen to the health professionals. That is paramount here. I think what's going on nationally is quite clear. We reopened too quickly. And now we're seeing almost double the number of cases during the worst period when we heard about New York and what was going on there. So we definitely have to be careful with this. And again, we have to listen to the healthcare professionals. I'm very sympathetic to what's going on with the local businesses. They've been extremely impacted. And I think we need to do what we can as a county to get what funding and what help we can to help those businesses. Because there are many people that are unemployed. There are many businesses that are having real trouble staying afloat in the time of COVID. So again, I think politicization of the issue is just wrong. This is a medical healthcare issue, and we have to listen to that. Put the healthcare professionals first.
Thank you, Mr. Vinnie. Mr. David Haubert, please.
Regards to COVID-19 and the regulations that are coming out, we absolutely have to listen to our healthcare professionals, the people who know the science behind this virus. And that's what we do in Dublin, and that's what we do in the Tri-Valley, that's what we do in Alameda County. And as I sit on the Alameda County Conference of Mayors, and I'm the president this year of the Alameda County Conference of Mayors, I can tell you that all of the Alameda County mayors are concerned, and all equally are united in supporting our healthcare professionals. Now, what we did in the Tri-Valley was simply ask for permission, ask for a question, really, that maybe they could look at the data of our geographically separated Tri-Valley, knowing that the virus knows no boundaries of crossing the street to the next county of Contra Costa. The virus also no boundaries of whether a county has applied for a variance or not. The county knows no boundaries of whether a county is on a list or not. And so we have to look at the data. I'm proud to say that Dublin has one of the lowest infection rates in the county. Our Tri-Valley as an area, as a region, has very low rates. I would commend Fremont for also having very low rates of infection. And I would say that We simply ask for permission from healthcare professionals. We listen to them, and that's what we do. And I've always preached from day one, wear your mask, socially distance, only go out when needed, and when you do, make sure you washing your hands and keeping good practices. That's what we've done, and that's why our infection rates are so low. And so I would say that indeed our businesses, though, must continue to survive. So where we can safely reopen, I advocate to do that. And I represent and I advocate for my businesses to the best of my ability, and I stand with them, but I always stand under the guidance of our healthcare professionals every step of the way.
Thank you so much, Mr. Haubert. Next question, I will have Mr. Keston Houston read it to us.
This came in from an email. It said, do you support Valley Link? I'm going to read it just how it came in. The proposed BART-like rail system connecting Dublin BART to San Joaquin affordable housing stock that could mitigate the 92K cars traveling over the Altamont on a daily basis. He said yes or no. However, another question came in, was a text, and I'll add to what they said, and it might be the same. What are your plans for the traffic on Mountain House Road? Vinnie Bacon, please.
Yes, I am a supporter of Valley Link. If you look at that transportation corridor, it is horrific. And I would say it's because we basically have developed in a manner and not taken that into account. The lack of transit in that corridor is that's the reason why everybody has to drive. Most people are going to Silicon Valley or over to the peninsula, and there is simply no transit. I will add, in my studies at Berkeley, I went to Berkeley with the idea of wanting to implement more mass transit, because as an environmentalist, I understand we have to get people out of their cars. As far as Valley Link, it does appear to be the best solution that's been proposed so far, as far as how to get people from the San Joaquin Valley and Livermore to the BART station. So I'm definitely in favor of it. As far as Mountain House Road, I do know that, again, Mountain House has been developing rather significantly, and that's going to just increase the problem. And again, that's why, people hear me talking about, development, but how do we reduce traffic? We basically have to plan, and we have to build in a manner that reduces traffic. For example, we need to build denser, and we need to build more near transit. That's the only way that we're going to get people out of our cars. Also, we really need to look at the jobs housing imbalance, which I've been arguing for a long time, trying to get more jobs into Fremont as opposed to us just being a bedroom community, which I think is true somewhat of the Tri-Valley. We definitely need more jobs in Fremont and in the Tri-Valley to reduce that jobs housing imbalance and not make all the traffic going in one way. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bacon. David Haubert, please.
Well, I do support Valley Link. I've always Valley Link and a rail extension was promised to the people of Livermore and to the extension out for over 50 years. It was planned, and when BART decided not to build Valley Link, to build BART out to Livermore, we took it upon ourselves in the Tri-Valley to form our own joint powers authority. And I've been a leader on that committee, well, since the beginning of its inception, and I followed it along very closely. I absolutely support Valley Link, and that's been unwavering. I know that my opponent opposed it early on, so it's curious that he now supports it. But even in his support, he seems to waver and talk about other solutions that may be feasible, like buses down the 580 freeway, which just doesn't make sense. And it's a bit of a non-committal commitment, if you ask me. I absolutely support Valley Link, and I support what it's going to do for bringing people over the Altamont. And whether it's people from San Joaquin County coming through our community, those are people on our roads that are clogging our communities that we have to support with transportation. It's curious that all those people moved out in the valley because Mr. Bacon has opposed almost every housing project that's come his way, and that's forced people to move out there. The fact of the matter is the Bay Area is a booming economy, bringing jobs to our area. We need to rebalance jobs. That's why I've preserved land for jobs to come out to the Tri-Valley, and I will continue to do that. Jobs, housing balance absolutely is critical. And I would say that while he may have studied transportation planning 20 years ago, I've lived it as mayor of Dublin when we've built transit-oriented development right next to BART, where people can live, walk to BART, go to work. And we've master planned a community that is one of the best places, rated one of the best places by Money Magazine. And we're going to continue to do what it takes to get people onto public transportation, which I fully support, and to get them to the jobs that they need to get to, but to bring jobs out to the Tri-Valley. So I support that fully, unwaveringly, always have and always will.
Thank you, Mr. Haubert. Okay, Maria?
For question number 3, I know you wanted to change something like he always does. So you still want to do?
I do, and we could probably come back to this. What happened to George Floyd is global, and Alameda County Sheriff will fall under your jurisdiction, and it does. What is your plan for de-escalation before force with the sheriff department? Because that's who will be under your jurisdiction. And I'd like to start with David Haubert, please.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Let me say that as I watched in horror what happened to George Floyd, it made me cringe. I couldn't stand even watching it. It was absolutely horrible. And again, as I spoke to all of my colleagues, mayors in the Alameda County, over half of which are endorsing me for county supervisor, we all agreed that was horrible. And questions came out from our community. Wow, can that ever happen here? What if it did happen here? What would happen? How do we know that it won't happen? And what precautions do we have in place to make sure that it doesn't happen? Now, obviously, we went right into a period of terrible nights of riots and curfews and protests. I'm proud that I helped to make happen a peaceful protest in the city of Dublin, where I met with protesters, over 600 of them in our local park, spoke to them, had a local pastor come and pray with them before they marched down a mile and a half to an intersection, a major intersection, and took over that intersection and stopped it for 8 minutes while we took a knee. And guess what? We had our police department close down that intersection for them so that it would be safe. Then we proceeded to City Hall and had the rest of a peaceful protest. So after the dust settled from that and things got to clear down a little bit, I took action, and that's when it really started. And I want to say that the actions I've taken so far, meeting with community members, faith-based leaders, fellow elected officials to discuss our goals and objectives. I met with police to review our current policies. What do we have in place? Convened a public community conversation. Convened a special work study session of our Dublin City Council. Convened a special presentation to all Alameda County mayors on the topic of race and equity, which was hosted by Darlene Flynn, Oakland's Director of Race and Equality. I helped to appoint a subcommittee of our Dublin City Council. There's members to make recommendations for a community task force. And then I spearheaded plans to create a community task force, which we will do. Members of the community coming together with our city staff, coming together with our police organization to come up with real, defined recommendations for change. I'm committed to making change, and I'm committed to making the positive change that we can, but we're going to do it as a community. We're not going to stop until it's done. Thank you. That's what real leaders do. I want you to say I'm taking action. I didn't even get to talk about it. I know my time's up, but I'll talk about it later.
2 minutes now. Thank you, Mr. Haubert. Thank you. Vinnie Bacon, 2 minutes for that question. Did you want me to repeat it, or did you understand?
So first of all, I do have to take issue with Mr. Haubert worrying about what I said about Valley Link. I never said I don't support it.
Okay.
I said it's a $2 billion project. I would want to understand.
Hold on, 1 second. Just 1 second. So since that you want to, what was the word you used?
Debate.
Debate. We can use
That's
that.
just
Mark that. We
okay.
haven't done this yet before, but mark that
Okay.
point, and then we'll go back and have you to address
Okay.
that. And then you want to do it now? Okay, and then we'll have
No,
Mr. No, let's do it now.
yeah.
Let's do it now, and then we'll have David Hubbard to have something to say. So go ahead, Vinnie Bacon. I was overruled
Well, I was
by.
just going to say, I never said I was opposed to Valley Link. What I said was it's a $2 billion project. And before I would commit to something of that value, I would want to look at the alternatives. I would want to see if, possibly ACE could go. Right now, it does appear that it's the best. But yes, when I first came around, I needed to learn more about the project. So yes, but to misrepresent and say that I did not, that I opposed the project and am changing my views, that's just wrong. And I'm sorry, I am the kind of person I will study something and before I'm willing to commit to a final answer. On a $2 billion project, I think it's imperative that politicians do that and not just jump in and say, oh, it's the best thing.
Okay. So, David Hubbard, would you like to reply to his statement?
We've been talking about it for years, and so if you hadn't done your research, then maybe you should have just said, "I need to learn more," instead of saying that you support it, or that you need to do your research. And instead, you should have done your research ahead of time. It's been out there for a long, long time. It's no different than other projects like Dunbarton Rail and others, which I believe we can look at your record on that. But again, I just want to say that even now. Most recently, as a few weeks ago, you've said that you want to look at these alternatives. Do the research before you get in the race.
Thank you. So we'll go back to that question that really troubled me, and the moderator let me skip one of her questions that came in, and it was what happened to George Floyd was horrible. I mean, to see that happen on it was just horrible. It disturbed me to the core. So, and I said Alameda Sheriff will fall under the jurisdiction of Alameda County, and it does. It does. De-escalation. What's your thoughts about de-escalation before the force, Mr. Vinnie Bacon?
My opponent and I definitely differ on this subject. First of all, let me say Black Lives Matter. I think it's very important to say that and to understand that. In our last debate, I'm quoting from my opponent. He said, is there systemic racism? I am sure some areas, in some cases, and sometimes, maybe you would say that there is. I'm sorry, let's look at the facts. The Black unemployment rate in this country has been twice what the national unemployment rate has been for literally 50 years. Black people are incarcerated at a rate of 5 times that of whites. Black people are far more likely to die in police custody. I'm sorry, if that's not systemic racism, what is? We obviously have a problem, and I am hoping that we are at an inflection point in American society where we're actually ready to deal with this problem. We're actually ready to look at some of those causes of systemic racism. I know a lot of people at our recent council meeting came in and they wanted to defund the police department. And in my opinion, what that means is let's look at the resources that we're putting into the police department and see if there are ways that we could move those towards others. I think a good way to look at this would be to look at the calls that come into police officers and see what are they actually doing, and to look at calls and to make an analysis of would this call by a social service worker? Would this call have been handled by someone who is a mental health specialist? And I think there you could get a better idea. Obviously, there are many times when we need an armed police officer to intervene in a situation. But I think there are a lot of times where we don't. And that's my understanding of what it means to defund the police. And I am hoping we are at an inflection point in American history where we can actually look at that. And I'm definitely in favor of a participatory budget process. I've been frustrated on the Fremont City Council that I feel like our council doesn't even have enough input into the budget process. And I would really love to get that started where we have a true participatory budget where the public is coming in and expressing their views on what they want. And then we can go from there. So anyway, that's my, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vinnie Bacon.
Thank
Now
you so
move
much.
back to my original question.
Can I ask you
Do
a
you
question?
have a comment?
can we allow David Hubbard, if he would like to
Yes, definitely.
reply to the statement from Vinnie Bacon? Can we do that?
Of course.
Would you
Here-
like to
here-
respond?
Yeah, here again, like I said, he's talking about looking at the calls that are coming in. I've already done that in the city of Dublin. We've talked about it several times with our community. And so if we want to make change, we need to take action. Hope is not a strategy. And so we can't hope that we're going to make change. We need to make change. And that's what I intend to do. And that's what I intend to do when ever since I started, by taking a knee with the protesters, by standing with them, by understanding them. And so to say that I don't support change is just absolutely wrong. I'm living it. I'm doing it. I'm making it happen. That's what real leaders do.
Thank you, Mr. Haubert.
Can I share something with you that just happened this week? I was really impressed by the Alameda County Sheriff Department in Oakland. Issue came up, and I asked them to stand back, or I really didn't ask. It was the DA and me asked them to stand back because the crime wasn't really that big, and we were able, and they listened, and that was what do you call it? De-escalation. They stood back, and the person came out and corrected what he did, and no one had to go to jail, and they corrected it, and it was a great experience to see that de-escalation, Maria. It was just great. It was beautiful, because any other way that guy might have went to jail. So
Wow.
you go ahead. I just wanted to share that with the public and you too.
Thank
Go ahead.
you.
You're welcome.
And let me go back to question number 3. There are cannabis farms in your district. How do you feel about that, Mr. Vinnie Bacon?
What do you say? There's cannabis farms, and what do I feel
Yes.
about the cannabis farms?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that it is I don't have a problem with that. I definitely think that it is something where we could make money off of that. So I really don't have a problem with that. I know in California medical marijuana is legal, so I don't see an issue with that. Obviously, one needs to look at security and make sure that there's adequate security for these. There's a number of issues. It needs to be a regulated market, just like alcohol is a regulated market. So you definitely need you need adequate security. But other than that, it is in California. It's legal to have those kind of facilities, and I don't see a problem with them in Alameda County. Again, with the appropriate regulations and security.
Thank you. Do you have any comment or follow-up question on this?
No.
Oh, absolutely, Maria. Thanks for the question. In fact, in Alameda County, we have 12 approved sites and 2 dispensaries. Cannabis is an approved substance in the state of California. The voters have spoken, and so that is settled law. For me, it's not about money or extra tax revenue. It's about allowing people to benefit from the medicinal properties. And then also, as we know, there are recreation uses that are approved within our state. And so then it becomes a matter of regulation and keeping people safe and keeping the public safe. And so we have regulations in place. The city of Dublin was quick to move on regulations that allow us to have local control. It's a bit odd. I think I read somewhere that my opponent just did not approve for the delivery of cannabis, medical or recreational, within his city. And so that means people have to go drive to get it. That matter hasn't come before us yet, but I would say that it's proven. The people have voted. It's settled law. It's absolutely legal. It has positive benefits, and it's something we need to take a hard look at. And I think we will take a harder look at as a state in the coming years.
Do you have any follow-up questions, Ken?
They said cannabis farms. Okay.
Mhm.
In their district. Okay. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Question number 4. We received this picture from Alameda County District 1 resident. Also, Alameda County did a study about the solar plants. What are your thoughts on these solar plants, Livermore. Mr. Vinnie Bacon.
About the large plans well to the north. This is a matter that is potentially going to come before the Alameda County Board of Supervisors. So it is, I don't think it's proper for me to make a blanket statement on whether I would be for or against those. In general, though, I would say I am part of the East Bay Community Energy. And one of the things we're looking at is trying to do more solar, infill solar. We have many large buildings where you can get the appropriate economies of scale to adequately do solar. Obviously, I'm a big fan of solar, rooftop solar. We have it here on our house. And we definitely should work on making that process as easy as possible. The open space outside of Livermore and there is gorgeous. And I'm definitely, as an environmentalist, I believe that we have to preserve the open space that we have. And definitely, that's one of the things why Mr. Haubert says I don't approve developments. I've actually approved every single affordable housing development that has come before the city of Fremont. No, there are many sprawling developments that were not good for Fremont, that did, basically encouraged auto use. Those are ones I did not approve. I'm a huge fan of preserving open space. It's what got me into politics. So when I see something that would come along and potentially destroy a huge swath of open space and all the wildlife that goes along with it, I would say I think alternatives such as, again, solar on rooftops, in businesses, in parking lots, those are areas where it's more concentrated, it's more near the actual end uses. I think that's, in general, a better way to go.
Ken, or comments for this question?
No, I would like to show the picture that they sent.
I know they said it's all over Livermore.
Yeah, they sent the picture.
Do we have a picture, Mr. Alexander? There you go. So this and to us, and obviously important to their residents, because we can't make no more land. We can build houses, we can build up, we cannot build land. So it is an important issue, I believe, for our residents. Mr. Haubert, would you like to address that question?
To learn more, indeed, I wonder how many rooftops it takes to equal the energy that could be generated from those solar panels, and whether we could do them or not in a tasteful way. But to say that it's something that will come before us, and so therefore I don't want to comment. I mean, I'd rather just say I don't know enough about that project. There's lots of projects that are coming before us. So you do your research, you figure it out. But it seems to me that if we could do it in a tasteful way, why not? But East Bay Community Energy is absolutely a project in the city of Alameda County that I support. And my opponent's been on that commission. I don't know whether he's the incumbent commissioner or whether he's an alternate, but I know he was on years past, and he just skipped out on, seems to me, quite a bit of meetings. As I go through the minutes, he wasn't there representing Fremont. And so I just don't know how he expects to do his job when he doesn't show up to meetings. But if he cares that much, I would expect him to show up and take a stand. So he should know a lot more about this project, and truly whether or not he supports it or not. My guess is he just doesn't want to say.
I think my phone was cut off. Thank you, Mr. Haubert. Ken, I have no more questions on my agenda, but I know you have an extra one.
Yeah. We know that if you put a hammer or you employ individuals, that stops crime, that's inclusion. Let's talk about employment of diversity. What is your thoughts? What is your plan on employing diversity within Alameda County? I want to start with Mr. David Haubert.
Yeah. So listen, I absolutely believe the workforce of our county should reflect the community that they serve. And so I would look to have goals and recommendations based on that department heads in the county should try to achieve. I would like to review those scorecards on a periodic basis, give them a goal, see if they can meet it. I would like to employ a chief equity officer in our county that would help to ensure that people are doing their job and not just providing lip service to it. I would love to continue to provide training. And as I talk to my friends in the labor unions, they say, you know, once we have somebody in a job, it's great if we can cross promote them, cross train them, move them to another department where they can move up and not just be stuck in a job because we filled a spot with diversity, but rather you hit the nail on the head with the word inclusion. They need to be part of the company, part of the system, part of our family of people that work for the county, and then they need to be able to grow with us, be promoted with us, have opportunities to advance with us. And so I start with scorecard, I start with a chief equity officer, and I start with always making positive progress towards those goals and objectives.
Thank you, Mr. Haubert. The reason why I brought that up also is that I don't know if you guys remember or know, Desley Brooks, council member for District 6, brought in an equity department, which I was there when she did it, and it was a great move that she did, and it brought some change. So that was something. So, Mr. Vinnie Bacon, can you answer? What's your thoughts on that?
Yes. Yes. Well, I find it, interesting to hear comments on inclusion from somebody who actually went and spoke at the Oath Keepers and then claimed, oh, I didn't know what they were all about. Also, the other issue in Dublin with the pride flag. It's funny. I've never voted on the pride flag. You know why? Because my mayor was a leader, and they knew to do the right thing. They didn't hide behind process. They knew that, no, this is 2020. We need to be inclusive and include those people. And we can't just try to put it off on process and say, I'm not going to do the right thing. I'm proud of Mayor May. She just did the right thing. She said, I'm flying the flag. And she did. But anyway, yes, absolutely. I am a fan of affirmative action. I'm glad to see the recent action in Sacramento that will hopefully help that. I'm actually very proud. I have to say, my father, back in the 60s, the Chicago Tribune wrote about it, that he hired a black gentleman at one of the key positions in the sanitary district in Chicago. And that is, and again, if we're talking about systemic racism, which Mr. Haubert doesn't seem to want to acknowledge, that's exactly the area where it's systemic. I mean, look at the number of black CEOs at Fortune 500 companies. This is exactly the area we need to do to focus on, is getting people into the appropriate jobs. And I would be very glad to have a diverse group of individuals working for me, and I would do everything I could to make sure that the workforce of Alameda County definitely looks like the people in Alameda County. We definitely have to do what we can to rectify those problems and definitely make things as equitable for everyone as possible.
I gave you a little more time. I would like David Haubert, if you would like to reply to his comment.
Yeah, well, I'll just say that he's way off base when he talks about no need for process and way off base for not wanting to have a policy. And in Dublin, we don't just do things one off. We do them as a council, and we do them well thought. And we did that. We took a little extra time. We got it done. We flew the pride flag. We did it again the following year. And we proved that we're an inclusive community. We also stand against hate, a program that we borrowed from Berkeley, that we implemented throughout our city council and even partners with our school district. I'm proud to say that I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I challenged our city manager to bring more inclusion and more diversity to our cabinet team. And so we brought people as we replaced jobs. We did that, and we have a very diverse workforce in the city of Dublin. So, and we've improved that, is what I mean, since I became mayor. And so I want to say that I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk, and I'm proud of that. And so we should stop with the political snipes and look at action and move on.
Thank you, Mr. Haubert. So looking at the time, Maria, it's 8:15. So
It's
what do
8:15.
you want to go into the closing statements?
Yes, just a little reminder to our viewers. To become a certified
Hold on.
candidate, yes,
They need a closing statement.
I know, but this is just a reminder. I'm not done yet.
Okay. All right. See, that's why I'm the co-moderator. Go
To
ahead.
become a certified candidate, you must fill out the forms at the Oakland City Clerk's office located at the Oakland City Hall, 1 Franco Wagua Plaza, second floor, Oakland, California. The nomination period opened last Monday, July 13. So you still have time. The deadline will be August the 7th by 5 p.m. Just a little reminder if you want to join the race. Continue with our closing statement. Let's start with Mr. Vinnie Bacon, please.
Well, in my opinion, the choice in this race is very clear. On the one hand, we have myself, someone who doesn't take developer money and has been a consistent fighter against irresponsible development, versus someone who took over $40,000 from developers and real estate interests in the primary alone. And under his watch as mayor and city council member, Dublin has become the fastest growing city in California. Like many people, I'm very upset to see the pernicious influence of money in politics at all levels of government. I'm trying to do something to change the nature of our political system. My opponent has claimed that running for office is hard without taking special interest money. Yes, it is. But in the words of JFK, we do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. And my opponent likes to quote Lincoln saying, by the people, for the people. But he is okay with a political system where special interests can buy influence and get their concerns heard before the actual people that they're supposed to be representing. Housing and development and its influence on our schools and traffic will be one of the biggest issues facing Alameda County going forward. Do we want someone who has taken developer money in the past and is being supported by some of the biggest developers in Alameda County? Or do we want someone who has a proven track record of being an independent voice and standing up to developers and demanding that they build in a sustainable and socially responsible way? Thank you.
Mr. Vinnie Bacon? Mr. David Haubert?
Yvonne, for having this wonderful forum. I'm going to close by reiterating what I said in the opening, which is to say Alameda County deserves a candidate who will fight for the interest of its constituents, who will fight hard to make life better in Alameda County. That's what I've done for 18 years in the city of Dublin. That's what I can continue to pledge to do for the residents of District 1 and all of Alameda County. I want to make all of our lives better. And I'm recognized for it by, again, members of the Board of Supervisors. Scott Haggerty and Nate Miley both support me. They've known me for over 18 years and they trust me. The firefighters and police organizations. And here, my opponent vilifies funds from labor unions, yet in the past he's accepted it willingly. And now all of a sudden, when it's a soundbite, he doesn't want to have it. Well, that's because they don't trust him and they're not giving it to him. As far as developers, he likes to say that he's a clean money candidate. I don't know what that means. I haven't broken any laws. I'm not doing anything that's unclean. Yet I will tell you that I'm the only candidate in this race that has not been fined thousands of dollars by the FPPC, the body that governs finance campaign disclosures. I disclose every penny of funds that I receive from my campaign. He's been fined thousands of dollars for breaking the rules. And I just don't know what else to say about besides clean money. I follow all the rules. What Alameda County needs is a lawmaker and not a law breaker. And I just have to say that I just don't know where he gets his legal advice from, but he needs to better understand campaign finance. I've never broken these rules, and I've always voted for projects, voted against projects that didn't make sense, no matter what money was involved. And my record shows that. And I've stared developers down. I even got sued by a developer because we rejected the project, and we were found that they just sued us over it because the law they thought was on their side. We had to settle that out of court. And I would just tell you that I have the experience that it takes. I have much more experience than my opponent, and the residents of Alameda County deserve someone who will respect the laws of campaigns. And that's what I call clean money. And I would tell you that he's just way off base on this one.
Thank you, Mr. David Haubert. With
Thank
that
you.
concludes our forum for today. I will do my closing statement now. I want to thank Ken Houston, my co-moderator today.
Even though I cut you off.
cut off my agenda. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for joining us in this great forum with TumbleTweet Media's live stream broadcast. Please follow us for more information and the upcoming forums for Alameda County as we get closer to Election Day. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube as well. Now, to the registered voters, you can vote as early as October 5th at the Alameda County Courthouse or by mail. If you're not registered, please register. Make your vote count. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed evening. Stay safe. And remember, together.
We are in this together. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.